Yes, let's read this one.
Jet fighter generations. Jet fighter generations classify the major technology leaps in the historical development of the jet fighter. Different authorities have identified different technology jumps as the key ones, dividing fighter development into different numbers of generations. 5 generations are now widely recognized, with the development of a sixth underway. 1. Classification. In 1990, air historian Richard P. Hawlian proposed a classification of jet fighters into 6 generations up to that time. These may be broadly described as subsonic, transonic, supersonic, Mach 2, multi-mission and high maneuverability. 2. Other schemes comprising 5 generations up to around the same period have since been described, although the demarcation lines between generations differ. Taylor and Gilmartin, Encyclopaedia Britannica, follow Hawlian, except that they condense the last two into 1.3. A NASA web publication divides jet development, up to 2004, into 5 stages: Pioneer, Straight Wing, Swept Wing, Transonic, the 1960s and 1970s on, culminating in types such as the F-15, F-16 and Aviator. 4. In the 1990s, a different division came into use in Russia, in which a 5th-generation fighter was proposed as a counter to the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor. In contrast, a preceding 4th generation filled in the gap since the F-15/16 era. 5, 6. This effectively condensed the previous classifications to 3 generations. In 2004, Aerospace listed one such division into 5 generations. 6. Although details differ, the basic classification into 5 generations has since been widely adopted. 7, 8, 9. The exact criteria for the various generation steps are not universally agreed on and are subject to some controversy. For example, Lockheed Martin has applied the term 5th generation to its F-22 and F-35 aircraft, but this has been challenged by its competitors Eurofighter GmbH and Boeing IDs. 10, 11. It has been suggested that Lockheed Martin labeled the F-35 a 5th generation fighter in 2005, a term it borrowed from Russia in 2004 to describe the F-22, or that the post-Cold War era, low-cost approach of the Saab Gripen should qualify it as a 6th generation jet. 12. Some accounts have subdivided the 4th generation into 4 and 4.5. or 4 plus and 4 plus plus. The table below shows how some authors have divided up the generations, progressively since 1990. Period Capability Example Aircraft Hawlian, 1990, 2, Aerospace OB, 2004, 6, People's Liberation Army, 2007, 13, Air Force Magazine, 2009, 14, Air Power Development Center, 2012, 9, Baker, 2018, 1. 1943-50 High Subsonic Conventional Armament Me-262DH Vampire P-8011 111195-355 Transonic, Air-to-Air Missiles Radar F-86, MiG-15 Hawker Hunter 212195-360 Elijah Personic, Air-to-Air Missiles Radar F-100 MiG-1932222195-570 Supersonic Mach 2 Air-to-Air Missile Easonly F-104 MiG-21 Mirage 343196070 Multi-Purpose Fighter Bombers F-4, MiG 23. Mirage F153331977080 Supersonic Multi-Role Panavia Tornado 434441974 Supersonic Multi-Role, High Efficiency, High Maneuverability F-14, MiG-29, Mirage 2000619990 2000 Enhanced Seed Capabilities Advanced Avionics Limited Stealth F//18 Su-30 Eurofighter Typhoon 4.53.54 plus 4.52000 Present Advanced Seed Integrated Avionics Stealth MiG-35 Su-354 plus and F-22, J-20 Su-57545555. 5 generations are now commonly recognized, with the 5th representing the latest generation in service, as of 2018. 1. 15. 13. Future types at an early stage of development are expected to have even further enhanced capabilities and have become known as a 6th generation. 1. 14. The rest of this article broadly follows the analysis of Baker. 1. First generation. The earliest jet fighters appeared during and after the last years of World War II. They were similar in most respects to their piston-engined contemporaries, having straight, effectively unswept wings and being of wood and forward/or light alloy construction. The Mi-262 had a lightly swept wing, but this was done principally to achieve balance, and the sweep was deliberately kept too little to have a significant aerodynamic effect. They had little or no avionics, with the primary armament being manually controlled guns. The Heinkel He-162 and Gloucester Meteor also saw wartime service, while types such as the de Havilland Vampire and Lockheed F-80 were still working up to operational service when the war ended. The Mi-262 was the first operational jet fighter. The introduction of the swept wing allowed transonic speeds to be reached, but controllability was often limited at such speeds. These aircraft were typically aimed at the air superiority interceptor role. 16. Notable types which took part in the Korean War of 1950-1953 include the Soviet Mikhoyankovic MiG-15 and the North American F-86 Sabre. The Hawker Hunter appeared too late for the war but was widely used and took part in several later ones. Second generation. The MiG-21 was the most widely produced jet fighter in history. The Korean War of 1950-1953 forced a major rethink. Guns proved unsuitable at such high speeds, while the need for multi-role capability in battlefield support was rediscovered. Interceptor types emerging after Thier used afterburning engines to give Mach 2 performance, while radar and infrared homing missiles greatly improved their accuracy and firepower. The American Century series such as the Lockheed F-104 Starfighter, as well as the Russian MiG-21, English Electric Lightning and French Dassault Mirage 3 were typical of this era. Many types were soon compromised by adaptations for battlefield support roles, and some of these would persist in new variants for multiple generations. 17. Third generation. The Hawker Siddeley Harrier was the first operational attack aircraft with vertical forward/short takeoff and landing, V/STOL, capabilities. The next generation of fighters were designed from the start to be multi-role. They were expected to carry a wide range of weapons and other ordnance such as air-to-ground missiles and laser-guided bombs, while also being able to engage in air-to-air interception beyond visual range. Their supporting avionics included pulse Doppler radar, off-site targeting and terrain warning systems. The advent of more economical turbofan engines brought extended range and sortie times, while increased thrust could only partly deliver better performance and maneuverability across the speed range. Some designers assorted to variable geometry or vectored thrust in an attempt to reconcile ethos opposites. Types such as the McDonnell Douglas F4 Phantom, General Dynamics F111, Mikoyankovic MiG-23, Sukhoi Su-17 Shenyang J-8, and Hawker Siddeley Harrier had varying degrees of success. 18. Fourth generation. Following the mixed successes of the multi-role generation, advanced technologies were being developed, such as fly-by-wire, composite materials, thrust-to-weight ratios greater than unity, enabling the plane to climb vertically, hypermaneuverability, advanced digital avionics and sensors such as synthetic radar and infrared search and track and stealth. As these appeared piecemeal, designers returned to the fighter first and foremost, but with support roles mapped out as anticipated developments. The General Dynamics F-16 introduced electronic flight control and wing-body blending, while the Saab 37 Viggen broke new ground in aerodynamic configuration with its Canard foreplanes. The Anglo-American Harrier II and Soviet Sukhoi Su-27 highlighted extreme maneuverability with the Grumman F-14 Tomcat was one of the first operational fourth-generation jet fighters. Respectively, strengthened exhaust nozzles for VIFing, vectoring in forward flight, and maneuvering control at high angles of attack as in Pugac Vescobra. The Panavia Tornado remained multi-role and developed a defensive forward/offensive sensor, avionics and weapons suite especially capable of anti-radar and anti-missile ground attack, while the Lockheed F-117 introduced stealth as a design concept. 19. Chinese People's Liberation Army, PLA, with a different generation system, classifies most fourth-generation fighters as the third generation. 13. 20. 4.5 generation. Later variants of these and other aircraft progressively enhanced their characteristic technologies and increasingly incorporated aspects of each others, as well as adopting some emerging fifth-generation technologies such as SAD Smiley 21, active electronically scanned array radar, low probability of intercept radar, electro-optical targeting systems, sensor fusion, supercruise, Link 16-like, high-capacity digital network communications. Use of composite materials to reduce the radar cross-section. These partial upgrades to fifth-generation capability have led some commentators to identify intermediate generation SAS 4.5 or 4+ and 4++. In some cases, such as the Mikoyankovic MiG-35 developed from the MiG-29 with fifth-generation avionics, the upgrade has been classed as fully fifth-generation, meet all fifth-gen requirements except stealth. 22. Many of these types remain in frontline service in 2023. A number of new 4.5 generation types are being developed in the 2020s. Post the emergence of the true 5th generation and contemporaneous with 6th generation aircraft development. These include the HAL Tejas Mk1 ACAC/PAC JF-17, Thunder Block 3 and Kai KF-21 Borame. 23, 14, 9, 5th generation. The Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor was the first operational fifth-generation jet fighter. The huge advance of digital computation and mobile networking, which began in the 1990s, led to a new model of sophisticated forward C3, command, control and communications, presence above the battlefield. Such aircraft had previously been large transport types adapted for the role, but information technology had advanced to the point that a much smaller and more agile plane could now carry the necessary data. Systems. Sophisticated automation and human interfaces could greatly reduce crew workload. It was now possible to combine the C3, fighter and ground support roles in a single, agile aircraft. Such a fighter and its pilot would need to be able to loiter for long periods, hold its own in combat, maintain battlefield awareness and seamlessly switch roles as the situation developed. Parallel advances in materials, engine technology and electronics made such a machine possible. From the start of the new millennium, advanced systems concepts such as smart helmets, sensor forward/data fusion and subsidiary attack drones were becoming realities. Bringing together and integrating such advances, along with those of the fourth generation, created what has become known as the fifth generation of fighters. The first of these is generally acknowledged to be the Lockheed Martin F-22. Subsequent types include the Lockheed Martin F-35, Chengdu J-20, 24, and Sukhoi Su-57. 25. Sixth generation. With the fifth generation slowly coming into service, attention turned to a replacement sixth generation. The requirements for such a fighter remain under debate. Fifth generation abilities for battlefield survivability, air superiority and ground support are being enhanced and adapted to the future threat environment. Development time and cost are proving major factors in laying out practical roadmaps. Drones and other remote unmanned technologies are being increasingly deployed on the battlefields of the new millennium, and projects are underway to use them as semi-autonomous wingmen. They may be integrated with sixth-generation fighter avionics, either as satellite aircraft under a sixth-generation command fighter or even replacing the pilot in an autonomous or semi-autonomous command aircraft. Studies such as the U.S. Next Generation Air Dominance (NGAD) and F/AIX programs, the European Future Combat Air System (FCAS), the Multinational Global Combat Air Program (GAP), and Chinese development work are ongoing. 26, 27. Specific requirements are anticipated by some observers to crystallize around 2025. 28. See also. Northrop Grumman B-21 Raider, U.S. 6th Generation Bomber Project. 29. References. Citation.
Good. And the camcorder's out of power, but I'd like to read many I have opened for many weeks, many weeks. Jetfighter we have deleted because if my computer crashes, it will open again. So tomorrow I will read the Intel. And now the camcorder is out of power, and I have this list. I have to upload all this. It's 12. So the video splits in 1 minute. So that's me. So I will start upload this. I have many hundred PDF I like to read. I have a big pile of papers, but I have a lot of stuff open. I have to get back to read my computer. But I will go to my kitchen, drink some cola. I need that shower and the shaving today. So I should do that, then I could go and buy more cola. But I need a shower and a shaving before I get out. Yes. Cheers. We have to stop the video because the video is splitting. So I will read the Intel tomorrow.